Singapore Airlines has confirmed its first annual loss in its 48-year history at 212 million Sing dollars. Now, no surprises that it's the result of COVID-19 crippling travel. Business reporter Elizabeth Neo joins us with the details. Liz?
Glenda, well, net loss reported by SIA for Q4, which is from January 2020 to March 2020, was more than $730 million. Now, that is down from a profit of 203 million Sing dollars from a year ago. Looking at the full year, SIA's group net loss was 212 million Sing dollars for the year ending March. Now, that is a reversal of the previous year's $683 million profit. Now, the operating profit for the year came in at 59 million, down a whopping 94.5% from the previous year's $1 billion. As you pointed out, the pandemic brought most of global travel to a halt. Now, SIA said it started the first 9 months of the financial year 2019 to 2020 strong, thanks in part to initiatives like its transformation program. But February this year was when those efforts were reversed. Now, COVID-19 spread globally, and that led to travel restrictions, a collapse in demand for air travel. And that caused revenue to plunge 894 million in Q4, or about 22%. Now, something else I want to draw your attention to, though, is the fuel hedging losses, which came in at $198 million. Now, that was brought about partly by a collapse in fuel prices, as we saw in recent weeks. And SIA says additional fuel hedging losses are expected in the near term because most of its fleet is still grounded because of the virus. To help us break down those numbers again, we're joined by Shukor Yusof. He's the founder of Endau Analytics. Shukor, what is your immediate reaction to this result?
I think I and many others in the marketplace have expected this. SIA has sent out updates for the last few weeks, the last couple of months, saying that it expected some losses and that fuel hedges were partly to be blamed for that. So it didn't really come as a surprise to us.
So you expected this, Shukor, but is this a foretaste of what's ahead of the next few months, though?
I think that this coming financial year for SIA, financial year 2020/2021, will be key because it will take into account the full brunt of the virus. And so together with fuel hedges and losses that are expected for that for this coming financial year, I think it's going to be quite diabolical.
Which we know shares have plunged to a 30-year low today. That's ahead of the earnings release. What does this say about investor confidence?
Investors generally are very risk averse. They have no appetite for airline shares around the world, not just SIA's. 2 weeks ago, Warren Buffett, who is one of the greatest investors of our time, he got rid of all his shares in U.S. carriers. So that gave the cue for almost everybody in the marketplace to get rid of their shares. In any case, buying airline shares is a bit like taking drugs. Actually, you get a quick high, but it doesn't translate to your pockets.
Shukor, any measures SIA can take to shore up liquidity in the coming months?
I think with 20,000 staff, they have to look at every possible way that they can do that. They've got that rights issue sorted out. They've also got very strong credit lines with the banks. I think as far as liquidity is concerned, funding, access to funding at SIA, which is a very good credit and a very strong name in the marketplace, they won't have any problems with that. So I think the next few years, with the amount of money that they receive, they'll be okay.
But do you expect more cost cutting in the months ahead? And what else can they do?
Yeah, Glenda, I mean, look, this is an airline industry that is very, very price sensitive, that is very, very capital intensive. And when you have a lot of people and, 96% capacity cut, over 130 aircraft on the ground, I mean, let's be very clear. I think how long can SIA, withstand such a devastating impact on it? So it is possible. Certainly, I think they will do everything to prevent it. But I think, headcounts, retrenchments, I think that's not off the table yet.
Yeah, and observers are expecting travel not to resume anytime soon. We could be in this for quite a while yet. What's the outlook like for SIA?
For SIA and for other airlines, it's horrendous. WHO has just made this announcement that said, the buck is going to be with us for the medium term. And for SIA, which is highly dependent on international long-haul flights, which is going to be the last to recover after domestic and regional flights. So that's also going to be against SIA. So they're in for a very rough ride.
All right, well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this evening. Shukor Yusof, the founder of Endau Analytics.